is happening, fellow fantasy GMs? I am JJ Wang. He is the bearded one, DJ Dub. And with our powers combined, we are the Fantasy Couriers.
What in the world just happened, JJ Wang? This could be the wildest movement of free agency in recent history, wouldn't you say?
I feel that way. I mean, like I said, I feel like I pay more and more attention every year. So maybe in the past it has, but I feel like there's a lot of movement this year. If it's leaning towards more of how like the NBA is in the off season, just teams constantly moving. But I mean, I think that's how it should be anyway. They shouldn't have to stay with the same teams their whole career if they don't want to. So I mean, it makes it interesting.
There's some crazy things we're going to get to this year, but I think probably the highlight of this free agency period was that finally running backs got paid. Why do you think? I mean, we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys got over $7 million per year average. You know, those stupid contracts, but on paper, why do you think the NFL zagged to this when last year you couldn't get peanuts?
I'm not really sure why it turned out like that. I mean, it is kind of weird. Good for the running backs. I mean, I guess they just had to take a year off and then get back to paying them. But yeah, it was kind of weird. I guess maybe the fact that there's not a lot of running backs in the draft this year.
Yeah.
The only way you're going to maybe get these guys is by paying them a lot of money. Their contracts aren't awful. I mean, I think it's what Saquon. We'll talk about them later, but
Yeah.
yeah, I
They're
mean,
not
but
terrible, but still.
good for them. They finally get paid.
Yeah. Can anybody stop the Eagles this year?
I mean, we say that every year. I mean, we've said that
I don't
about
know, man. This is pretty sad.
we said that about the AFC West last
Yeah.
year, and they weren't all terrible, but I mean,
They
it
weren't that
was
good.
pretty bad. But there's always that team that stacks up. I feel like the Eagles did this a while back. Didn't Vince Young say this was like a super team or something? And it didn't turn out. It didn't turn out very good for the Eagles. But yeah, I mean, it looks good on paper.
Tell you what, yeah, I would say they've without doing a lot, they won the off season per se. So let's jump into that. Before we get in, do us a favor. We're looking to grow the podcast as we head into the 2024 season in the fall. We're in the off season mode. We don't stop for you, but do us a favor. Go give us a like on Spotify. Give us a review. That would be spectacular. That's how we can grow the Fantasy Couriers. We are excited because we had some leagues where people have dropped out, people are moving on. Everybody gets different leagues every year, but we just filled up. So all of our leagues are in full off-season mode. I've been watching my phone. I have a league where like 2 or 3 trades have went down the last 2 days, and that's the great thing of the off-season. I love just seeing that pop up. And Rich, which I know you're not listening, but if you're listening, good luck getting Saquon. Let's just leave it there. And next week, JJ Wang, you might want to put on your Sunday best because you record on Sundays. Next week is episode 200.
Oh wow! All right.
Yeah, that means either we're getting old or we spent too much time on the computer. But episode 200, can you believe it? So I'll think I might not. I'll be dead next week. I might have a whole weekend camping out and exhausted. But I'll come in with the energy, whatever energy I have left. But without further ado, let's get into these free agents and see how time goes. If we don't get through them all, we'll hit them next week. That's how we roll. So it looks like one ginormous quarterback signing heads that group. Kirk Cousins, who we refer to pretty much as the Mendoza line, the baseline of guy, probably quarterback 12 every year for you. I mean, he's the guy, really, he won't kill you. He won't be your savior, except for that one week when he had 4 passes a couple years ago. But he got 4 years. $180 million, $45 million per from the Atlanta Falcons. Holy moly. Why?
I hear everybody talking about, like, I just don't get how he still manages to pull that much money. So I know he's 35. He's been a great quarterback. This guy has made more money than a typical NFL player should have with all the guaranteed contract money that he gets. So kudos to him first. But I just find it hard to believe that they paid him this much, being this old and coming off the Achilles injury. I mean, that's a lot of money to invest on a guy you just don't know how he's going to turn out. If he was healthy, sure, 100%. give him the money. He probably would have made more. But I have a hard time believing this one. But I mean, it is the NFL.
I mean, since he's been a starter in
Oh
2015,
yeah.
he has over 4,000 yards every season but one, not counting the Achilles, and that would have been
I'm
the
not
2019 season. So,
I'm not
yeah,
saying anything negative here. I
yeah.
just find it hard to believe that he's getting that much money coming off, a pretty serious injury.
Being that he will be 36 by the start of the season, does he play all 4 years?
We'll see if he gets to that first. If he can get through the first year, fine. I think he'll be able. I think he'll be able to go all 4 years.
I mean, I love this signing. I love Kirk Cousins. I think I have some Drake Londons, and I am very excited. Your Kyle Pitts love. Who this has to help everybody on there on that team, correct?
Absolutely. I mean, if we follow Cousins' career, I mean, like you said, he always puts up over 4,000 yards. He's always able to maintain wide receiver ones, wide receiver twos. So as long as everything stays the same with him, there's no reason to believe any different.
Okay, and on the heels of that, they traded Desmond Ritter to the Cardinals, and the Cardinals sent over Rondell Moore, so they got him. He's got some weapons popping through that we will hit on here. I mean, really, the weapons of Drake London. They added Darnell Mooney, we were excited about. Then he sort of pooped the bed or disappeared, but it was Chicago, and then Rondell Moore. So he does have not terrible. We're not going to say great weapons. I'll give him goodish weapons. I mean, Drake London, I think, is a superior athlete. He's a great talent. He just had no one. Rondell Moore showed that he could, if given the opportunity, and Mooney could stretch. And Pitts, I mean, isn't he the greatest thing since sliced bread? And Bijan in the backfield, whew.
Yeah.
I think his team could be on the rise. I'm going to give you a couple of two signings here, and I want you to tell me which one you think has a bigger effect on the team. I think it's going to be the same answer for both of us. But Gardner Minshew to the Raiders, 2 years, $25 million to celebrate with you. Jimmy Garoppolo was then cut. Sam Darnold to the Vikings to replace Kirk Cousins. He looked last year as if Sam Darnold, there was talk in the preseason that he was going to compete with Purdy for that job, and then Purdy just came out like a man on fire with a mission. How do you feel? Which of these two signings, which of these two guys has a better year? Do you have the intestinal fortitude to say Sam Darnold?
Well, so this is the thing. So I would say Sam Darnold if I thought he was going to play all the games. But the rumors are Minnesota's about to move up to get a quarterback. Today they're talking to the Commanders. So other than the first pick, Minnesota is almost, I don't want to say certainly, but they're trying real hard to move up. So I would say Minshew has a better year. I think Minshew stands a better possibility of playing all the games. I think Darnold would get the first half of the season, and probably you got to play the rookie unless they're in the playoff hunt. So
and in case you missed the Vikings traded with the Texans. The Texans moved out of the first round. The trade that, to me, I need a NFL trade calculator. It doesn't look like the Texans made out too well. They moved up around, moved down around, and gave up a first. But the Vikings have a mid and a late first. They're looking like they're going to posture up to the top. They say 4 of the top 6 will be quarterbacks, so they'll do that and then give away the next 20 years of first, or hyperbole. But probably next 2 years of first, right? Before first, probably to get to that 2 pick.
I mean, possibly. I mean, it seems like it goes up every year. I mean, it's going to take a lot. So I mean,
RG3 backwards. Well, if they play the whole season, would you say just Sam Darnold? If they both play the whole season?
I still think Gardner Minshew.
Yeah, I love the stash. I think it's going to be good watching Zamir White step up with their other signings. What?
Yeah, maybe Minshew.
I mean, but you are looking at Justin Jefferson. You're looking at Addison. You're looking at Hawkinson. We'll get to they got Jones in the back. It's not Sam Darnold's not on a schmuck team. He could end up holding the rookie off if they come out with the talent they have.
It's possible.
Other signings down the way, Brissett looks like he might be the Patriots quarterback for the first 6 weeks or so. Mariota's back up in Washington. Washington sent your boy Howell up to Seattle. What percentage chance is that Sam Howell is starting by midseason in Seattle?
50-50. I mean, if Seattle isn't winning, I mean, if they got a losing record by midway through the season, why not go to Howell and see if he can bring you back over 500. I mean, it's worth a shot. I mean, it's Geno Smith. He's old. He's not very good. Hal showed some kind of highlights last year. He was okay for at times, bad at times, but he's still a young quarterback. I mean, if he develop a little bit, he might be able to produce.
And the list I had when I created our when I created our docket here, had them in order of like most money to lowest money. And the guy at the bottom of the list could have the biggest impact on his team or not. Russell Wilson to the Pittsburgh Steelers. $1.2 million because the Broncos are paying him way too much money. So he got a 1 year, $1.2 million. And there's talks of him renegotiating. But wait, there's more. Justin Jefferson traded to the Steelers. Why is my brain, as I had it up? Well, Justin Fields. What was traded for a third? Sixth round pick. It was
okay. That could be a 4.
So to the Steelers. So there's a lot of questions here. Does Russell Wilson play all year? Question 1.
Well, I mean, as long as Russell Wilson plays effectively, Russell Wilson plays all year. I think if the Steelers are in the playoff hunt, and I think Russell Wilson continues to play. If they're playing bad, they're not winning, I think they bring Justin Fields in. So the Steelers always win. On a majority, they feel like they always have a winning record. So there's a good chance that Russell Wilson plays the whole year.
Do the Pittsburgh Steelers realize that Justin Fields has a base salary of $25,664,000 next year?
Yeah, that's why but signing Russell Wilson allows you to do that. I mean, you're still only investing $26 million.
That's only 25. Wait. This is 25. In 24, he's only 1.6. So they're investing $3 million, not even on quarterback on their team. That's pretty astounding.
Yeah. So I mean, that makes sense.
Who is the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback in 2025 through 2027? It's one of these two guys. Who's it going to be?
I would say Justin Fields.
Is Russ going to get 1 year, do it something decent, and sign somewhere else?
Unless Russell Wilson wins a Super Bowl.
Yeah, okay.
He's got to make a deep playoff run. I feel like to come back.
I mean, he was terrible last year with 28 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. That's how it's funny. But it's like with fantasy. You look on the outside. Some people look great, and they had the worst year of their life because they had 1 or 2 boom games and a bunch of just garbage. So that's quarterbacks we got here. Now on to the running backs. So I mentioned they got paid. So we got 6 guys that got more than $7 million. 7 guys that got more than $7 million, highlighted by the Eagles' new star. 3 years, $37.75 million to Saquon Barkley. Slapping the Giants. I mean, could there have been a bigger insult to the Giants other than going to Dallas? I mean, it was Dallas is who they were originally looking at. That's who I would have put my money on. But he went to Philly. Good grief.
I mean, good for them. Good for them. The offense, like you said, it looks good on paper. I mean, if they could just get out of doing the tush push and then giving the ball to Saquon Barkley, I mean, I feel like the opportunities are going to be endless. He's a much better DeAndre Swift. DeAndre Swift looked good in the beginning of the season, and then he kind of faded in the second half. Hopefully, the Eagles just commit to the run game more than to the running back, more than to the quarterback, and he'll be fine.
Say they do what we think they should do, which they never do. How far does that slide Jalen Hurts in a redraft league? I mean, Dynasty, he's still up there with the argument of wherever in top 5 or whatever. But in a redraft, does it, because his value was all that tushy pushy. And I'm not killing my quarterback if I've got Saquon in there.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I mean, I still think he's still in top 5 to 10 range. I mean, he might not. He like Josh Allen. I mean, if you can still run for 400 or 500 yards and get 5 or 6 touchdowns, I mean that would be fine as long as he's throwing for 4,500 yards. 35 plus touchdowns. I mean, as long as all that's fine. But I mean, I think he'll be fine. But maybe he won't be a top 3, but I mean he'll still be a top 10.
Yeah, I'll take him still.
I'll still take him, yeah, absolutely. I mean,
the other big name, $12 million a year, 4 years. 4 years, $48 million. I want to see where the death pill is, and I haven't looked at the breakdown of the contract. Josh Jacobs to the Green Bay Packers, which leads to Aaron Jones getting cut, going to the Minnesota Vikings, which is because Zach Moss which is because they cut Alexander Madison And there's rumors that in Green Bay, AJ Dillon's going to re-sign, and Cam Akers still doesn't have a team. So Aaron Jones to the Vikings, and Josh Jacobs to the Packers. Aaron Jones 1 year, $7 million. What do you think of those moves?
I mean, I think Josh Jacobs is a very good running back. I mean, he proved it in Las Vegas, and I think we've seen how the running backs get treated in Green Bay, and Aaron Jones has been an elite option, his whole career. And I would probably say that Josh Jacobs is a better running back than Aaron Jones. Yeah. So I think since the way that their team is set up, their team is so young, everybody's so young, they haven't had to pay any of these guys. They're able to afford a contract like this that I'm pretty sure they can get out of in 2 years. That third year is maybe a little bit, but I mean, it's more or less like a 2-year contract that they're able to get out of. But I think it's fine. I mean, you get younger, I think you get better, and then Aaron Jones to Minnesota. I mean, Aaron Jones is a pretty old running back, but he's always been productive. He might still be in top 24, but I think it's more of top 36 ish.
Yeah. I mean, you are right. The first 2 years, dead cap is $12 and $9 million. The third year, it's $6.2 million. Fourth year, it's $3 million dead cap for Josh Jacobs. But yeah, and I think my worry more with Jones is that if they put in that rookie, so we Sam Darnold stays in the Jones will have a little more, but if they put in the rookie, Aaron Jones rather is not going to have any lanes to run. And Josh Jacobs, he should have a bunch of lanes if one or two of those young receivers takes that next step. Somehow I fell in love with Jordan Love a few months ago, who I did not like at all, but somehow I'm in love with him now. So that helps Josh Jacobs, who is a decent receiver out of the back. I mean, he didn't get a lot of bruises last year. I mean, he only had 233 attempts, so that helps with after that brutal year before when he was killing it, but his attempts were high. So I like the signing for both teams because Aaron Jones is a decent scat back, which should help there. My favorite signing, well, actually trading, was because Zach Moss earned him $4 million for 2 years with the Bengals because they realized they got to pay T. Higgins soon. So they did so by trading away Joe Mixon, who had renegotiated to a lower contract to the Texans, which I love. This makes me so happy. And then he signed a 3-year, $25.5 million contract to be the Texans starting running back. What do you make of those two moves?
I mean, who knows? I mean, Zach Moss was always criticized in his career, and then he kind of revamped his career last year when he went to Indianapolis, filling in for Jonathan Taylor. He was looking great. Everybody was, all excited. So kudos to him, for getting this. I think he's the starting running back at the moment. We'll see what happens. Joe Mixon's always been pretty good in that offense. So I would say pointing up. For Zach Moss this year, they don't have much in terms of backups. I'm sure they might draft somebody. So looks like he's going to get all the work that he's able to handle. And Joe Mixon, I mean, sucks for Dameon Pierce. I mean, this pretty much means that they've given up on him. Joe Mixon to be the guy. And I think, like I said, Joe Mixon's better than Devin Singletary, and Devin Singletary was pretty good last year. So I think the arrow for both.
The Giants starting running back, Devin Singletary, 3 years, $16.5 million.
Yeah, so I feel sorry for Devin. I'm sure Devin Singletary won't have the year that he had last year. The Giants are going to be a very, very rough team. So the arrow kind of down for Devin Singletary and the arrow up for the other two guys.
So this time next year, Brian Daboll's going to be an offensive coordinator somewhere, correct? Because that team's going to be. Will they win 3 games?
It's possible. I mean, they'll be fighting for the number one. They'll be fighting for the number 1 pick.
They paid the wrong person, didn't they? Versus Jones versus Saquon. But yeah, it's Devin Singletary's like, man, okay, but the dude's walking away with $5 million after being good at times in Buffalo, taking the ball away from Dameon Pierce down in. I guess we say Dameon Pierce is dead. I was so high on him. Okay, you
know who wasn't high on him?
Everybody in Houston, or you? So DeAndre Swift and Tony Pollard were 2 well-enjoyed guys in the AFC East last year. Well, I wasn't a Pollard guy, but they were the starting running backs for their teams. DeAndre Swift pooped the bed towards the end of the year. He started out strong. Tony Pollard sort of floated along, but did what we sort of thought he was going to do, being a feature back, which was Nothing spectacular. Got you a couple points. Now they both got money. DeAndre Swift somehow got $8 million a year to play for the Bears, who, I don't know. And Tony Pollard gets to go to the Tennessee Titans for $7 million a year because the king is going to the place he should have went last October, Baltimore. Derrick Henry, the Baltimore Ravens. I think we're going to both agree Derrick Henry is the best of these three and in the best situation. But
I'll get to Derrick Henry in a second. First, I want to say that this has been a very rough offseason for my Bourbon Bowl team. First off, Justin Fields is no longer a starting quarterback.
You have a quarterback?
Brock Purdy.
Okay.
And then DeAndre Swift goes to the Bears, kills my Khalil Herbert, Roshan Johnson combo. And then Pollard goes to Tennessee, kills my Tajay Spears love. But in all honesty, I knew there was going to have to be another running back coming in. Tajay Spears isn't going to be a 3-down workhorse. That's not really what I was looking for. I kind of looking for the 50-50 split, right?
I think you'll get it.
And I think that's what this will get. I'm looking for Tajay Spears to be more of the pass catcher, even though Pollard can do that as well. So, I mean, they intertwine each other very well. So, and I think Tajay Spears is fine. I thought this was going to happen all along. The Swift one kind of irks me. He wasn't all that great. I don't think the Bears really needed to spend money on a running back. They got other places to deal with that, but they had a lot of money to spend. So why not? So that hurts a lot. But Derrick Henry, I mean, you can't ask for anything else from Derrick Henry. This is what you want him to go to, an offense that is run heavy and doesn't pass to the running back. I mean, we would all assume that I've said it multiple times that he's better than Gus Edwards. And Gus Edwards has been a really good fantasy option.
You mean Gus Edwards, who went to the San Diego Chargers for 2 years, $6.5 million, who in turn sent Austin Eckler went to the Commanders for 2 years, $8.3 million. Like
Hey, so continuing my Bourbon Bowl, Austin Eckler also hurts my Brian Robinson shares. But I think the same thing happened. I don't think they hurt each other. I think Austin Eckler can take, what was the scat back a few years back?
Antonio Gibson, the scat back now for the New England Patriots.
No, not the one that was taking. No, the guy that was taking snaps away from Antonio Gibson on third down. I can't remember the guy's name, but I can't. Oh, I'm sorry. I had it earlier in the week, but I forgot. But yeah, so Antonio Gibson goes to New England. That's kind of hurts him. I mean, he's pretty much stuck in the same position as Ramondre Stevenson, so he's still that second down back. But I think Brian Robinson's okay. Also, Eckler probably hopefully catch a lot of passes.
You know, I might be backwards. I know that Tony Pollard is bigger than Tajay Spears, but I could see he's only like 9 pounds and 2 inches bigger. But I see it going the other way because Pollard has shown he can't be that guy. Like, he's a better scat back. That Tajay Spears had 4.5 per carry last year. That he could be. I could see him inverting and him being the power back and Paul, because he's watching those two guys run. Tajay Spears looks stronger, and so I could see it going that route. That I agree with the 50-50. Eckler, I don't think he hears Brian Robinson. He's Antonio Gibson. Antonio Gibson probably takes some receptions away from Ramondre. They're just worried because he got hurt this year. Gus to the Chargers doesn't move the needle. The Chargers are in trouble, which we will probably be talking about soon. But
I mean, isn't this what every fantasy football player does when they come into a new team? Owner does when they come into a new team. They clean house and then they start over. So I mean, they're not doing anything different than me or you would do for our fantasy team. Yeah. The players were getting old. Mike Williams was always getting hurt. So ship them out. Let's start over. Bring in all the Michigan players you can bring in and just see how the national title team can work in San Diego or LA or wherever the heck they play.
I mean, running backs move like crazy. I actually am super excited. Joe Mixon and Texans, I love because that team's going to be great. Derrick Henry to the Ravens. Oh, my goodness. It does mess up. I'm worried about my Lamar, but I think Lamar has shown he can pass that. I think it will keep Lamar upright for a longer period of time. So not as much receiver movement, couple big deals. Calvin Ridley totally shocked the fantasy world. Like, this was not even until he did it. It wasn't a radar thing. 4 years, 92 million. Like, I also don't get how he made that much money. He was, I don't know. Am I missing something? To the Titans.
No, you're not the only one that feels this way. I mean, everybody feels this way. Like I don't get it. They wouldn't pay AJ Brown, but they'll pay Calvin Ridley. And Calvin Ridley wasn't really all that good in Jacksonville. He's going to a worse team with a far superior or superior.
No, hey, don't talk bad about Bananarama, my boy, my banana.
Inferior quarterback play. So we'll see, man.
I mean, Calvin Ridley was my boy preseason last year, and then I was like, dude, he's dead to me. Like, I would have dropped him. I mean, my boy Will Levis has people to throw to now. Like, there's no excuses for him with Chig, who's an extremely athletic tight end. Calvin on one side, D Hop on the other. You got who's the rookie receiver I don't like? I am losing. We're both losing our minds here.
Burks.
Traylon Burks there, not rookie, but third year now. But he was the rookie.
He's not a rookie.
Yeah, he's not a rookie. Everybody was a rookie at some point. Traylon Burks there. So I mean, he's got that hyphen. He resigned, but Nick Akina Westbrook resigned with them. So he's like a guy that he will definitely be on surefire waste of a touchdown. So there's no excuse there for that. Plus he has the Pollard, Tajay Sharp backfield. So as long as the line isn't a total pile of poo, Will Levis either this year gets himself a future contract, or he's Justin Fields, Mac Jones, and on a new or Sam Hale. That's where he'll be. So our boy Gabe Davis got himself a medium-sized bag, not Calvin Ridley money, but when you get zeros for multiple weeks and you still get $13 million a year for 3 years to go to Jacksonville to replace Calvin Ridley. Kudos to you, Gabriel Davis.
Yeah, kudos to Gabe Davis. I mean, you're still going to a good offense that still likes to throw the ball a lot. So I mean, sure he'll disappear in Jacksonville just like he disappeared in Buffalo.
Yeah, Jacksonville likes to disappear themselves. Darnell Mooney, surprisingly, he was exciting for a while to pick up. The Falcons gave him $13 a year. Do they realize they got to pay Drake London in a few years? Or I guess it'll probably go off the books by that point if I look at the contract site here. But
yeah, I mean, it's probably like a 1 or 2 year deal. They've got plenty of money to spend. I mean, why not pay
next 2 years?
Yeah, so I mean, they know, they think about all that kind of stuff. They know they got 2 or 3 more years with that.
Well, dude, Darnell Mooney's $13 million. Hollywood, I think, is better than Darnell Mooney, and he was only $7 a year. You might disagree.
Well, just like Christian Kirk last year, right?
Yeah, like I think I would rather have Marquise Brown, who now is in Kansas City. Did he win the lottery of all these guys? If Patrick Mahomes,
I don't know. When was the last time Marquise Brown was good? I don't know.
I don't know. Like, he had some good connections with before Kyler got hurt, and I mean, I don't know. I think Kansas City, it could be good for him. I mean, they dropped.
Well, I'm sure. I mean, I think he'll be a good number 2 receiver. And is Hollywood Brown better than Marquez Valdez-Scantling? Probably. But is it Hollywood Brown learning to drop a few balls as well? So I mean,
oh yeah, some of those deep balls from Baltimore.
He's had some drop issues in his life. So, but it might be better.
And Curtis Samuel is trying to steal some catches from our boy Shakir in Buffalo, and still around. I didn't know he was still somebody that would make this radar. Devontae Parker wants to win a ring. That's all we can say. He signed with the Eagles for $1 million a year. He wants to win a ring. There's no other way around this. Like, he's not going to get the ball.
I didn't even know he was still playing. I didn't know he was still playing.
He wants a ring. That's all it is. Tight ends, just a couple. There are a couple of movements around. I'll give them all. The best signing was Jonnu Smith, 2 years with the Dolphins. Congratulations, Jonnu. Welcome, fins up. Otherwise, basically everybody who at some point played for the Seattle Seahawks has a new home. I just noticed this. Noah Fant re-signed with the Seahawks 2 years. Colby Parkinson is now the Rams starting receiver. I guess they're worried about the injuries there. 3 years, $22 million. Gerald Everett, who was with the Seahawks, is now 2 years, $12 for the Bears to back up Cole Kmet for $6 million a year. I guess they're thinking the rookie gets 2 tight ends. Will Dissly is the Chargers starting tight end, replacing Gerald Everett, who came from. So all of no, Gerald Everett. I lied. Gerald Everett was a Ram. Sorry, I got it mixed up. But So Will Dissly to the Chargers, Everett to the Bears, Kobe Parkinson to the Rams, Fant re-signed, and Jonnu Smith to the Dolphins. Nobody really moves the needle. I mean, my boy will get a couple touchdowns, but nothing spectacular, right?
No, I don't see much. I mean, it'll be effective a game here, a game there, just like always.
Oh, quick apology. I mentioned the demise as we close out here. The demise of the Los Angeles Chargers. Keenan Allen said, "I'm not taking a pay cut," so he got traded to the Bears. So Keenan Allen and DJ Moore, Caleb Williams, congratulations! You're going to come into a spectacular receiving situation.
Yeah, so I'm not saying Justin Fields is a great quarterback, but why wasn't you trying to do this in Justin Fields' first year, Justin Fields' second year, Justin Fields' third? But they finally got him DJ Moore, and DJ Moore had the best year of his career, right? So I'm not saying Justin Fields is great or he deserves to be a starter, but I feel like if you would have put this kind of effort in Justin Field and earlier in his career that you're trying to put in for Caleb, it might have end up with a different story.
I'm going to go down. I'll go down on the podcast saying, if I was the Chicago Bears, I think they're better off with Justin Fields taking that first, getting the ranch, paying Justin Fields to be your quarterback. I will let them be wrong. Caleb Williams will be on 0 of my fantasy teams. 0. I think he's gonna be a disaster. He's gonna be a disaster. I have no intent. Yeah. And Mike Williams sucked because he's cut because he sucks and because he's always injured. We'll see who gets to pay him to get hurt next year.
Yes, he's definitely getting hurt next year.
I mean, poor the Chargers, man. They were the only team that got, like, the Dolphins. We lost some. We fanoodled and we came out really well with our defenders and whatnot. But the Chargers just seemed to have just gotten kicked in the crotch with.
But I mean, not really. I mean, it's all intentional. You can't get kicked in the crotch when you intentionally do it. I mean, it's all done intentionally. You're not kicking yourself in the crotch. I mean, that's
bad choices, and you're like, they didn't get they got kicked because they didn't achieve what they should have achieved with that lineup. So now Quentin Johnson and Josh Palmer are their number one receivers. Which one of those two guys would you want?
What is it?
Quentin Johnson and Joshua Palmer are the number one receivers for Justin Herbert. Herbert's a good quarterback, right?
Who's going to have? They might get a receiver in the draft. I mean, Neighbors will be there. Romadunze will be there probably. Marvin Harrison will probably be gone. I think they have the 5th pick. I think.
Well, 5th pick, yeah.
So I mean,
they'll trade back some spots, get some picks.
A receiver will be there. So I mean, the old regime might have kicked themselves in the balls, nuts, whatever you want to. But I mean, they're just doing what everybody else would have done coming in.
Yeah, I think it would be interesting to see, like, if there's I would envision them being a trade back a few spots because there's that slew of receivers.
Hasn't Jim Harbaugh earned the respect of rebuilding everywhere? I mean, he took Stanford to national consideration when he was in college. He went to San Francisco, took them to the Super Bowl, I believe. Went to Michigan, won them a national championship. So now he's coming back to the NFL. I mean, how many times has he got to prove it? I mean, Nick Saban comes to the NFL, completely flounders, goes back to college, and he's the greatest thing that ever happened, right? I think Jim Harbaugh has proven to be a fantastic coach.
Who's going to be a better coach, Jim Harbaugh or Shanahan? Your boy Shanahan this year. Who's going to have better 5 years? Better 5 years thing here. Which team will come
in 5 years? I still think it's Shanahan because he's got a better foundation right now. I mean, he's had a chance to build his empire, but I think if they start on an equal level, I would assume that both of these guys are just as good as each other.
I mean, you know who Jim Harbaugh is to me. And then I'll let you close this out. Remember the old that Hail Mary for the Colts when we were kids?
Yeah, absolutely. I remember that game.
That's
absolutely.
Jim Harbaugh to me. Like, it's
Jim Harbaugh. Yeah.
Oh, what a oh my goodness! That's still, I could still envision.
He might not be an offensive coordinator, might not be a defensive coordinator, the best at either one. But I mean, I think he's a leader of men. Sometimes kind of like a Mike Tomlin. Tomlin, I feel like is just a good leader. his brother's the same way. I mean, his brother was a special teams coordinator and special teams coach, and now he's one of the best coaches in the NFL. So
I like it. I like it. Okay, give us some wisdom as we close out free agency.
all right, with the hype of free agency, don't overpay at the beginning of free agency. I know it's going to be exciting. I know you want Saquon Barkley, all you Eagles fans. I want all these maybe don't overpay for Sam Darnold if you like him too much. Yeah, so just let it cool off a little bit. Maybe wait till after the draft because you don't want to pick somebody up for free agency and then it get ruined with the draft. So just wait, let everything settle. Don't overpay. Just let things cool off. As always, trust yourself and trust the process.